But something that he mentioned that, and I never heard about before, is that you should basically, according to him, that's gonna make your progress much faster. Okay, so guys, you probably wouldn't believe it, but how's it going, boys? In today's video, I'm gonna be reviewing Leo and longevity. So Leo is a guy that I actually follow on YouTube, and I started binge watching his videos basically. Very intelligent guy. He's definitely a very well-educated guy in terms of steroid use, PEDs, and many other supplements and nootropics. So I really enjoy watching his videos, very informative. And I came across the video that is titled The Truth About PE. Basically, he's talking about penis enlargement. He was apparently part of one of the biggest forums in the world about penis enlargement. He tried most of the methods himself, and he gained 1.7 inches, if I'm not mistaken, according to his videos. I haven't seen any photos, but in this video, I'm gonna be going through what works according to him and what doesn't. And something that is very interesting is that his opinion about bathmate is very similar to my opinion about bathmate. And I'm gonna be showing you here in this video and basically discussing why he has this opinion and basically showing you why I hold this kind of opinion about bathmate, because I know a lot of you guys are kind of angry at me sometimes in the comments. You really do believe in bathmate. And I'm not saying the bathmate doesn't work, but all I'm saying is there are better alternatives that are cheaper and they work just as good, if not better. But anyways, so I'm going to be watching part of the video here and debunking it myself, reviewing it myself, and letting you guys know what is my personal opinion about what he's saying in this video.
Thunder's Place, by the way, doesn't exist anymore. I think it's still online, but I don't know where the community has moved to. I've been out of it for 10 years. Not much new can have developed. So, you know, you could go find wherever the community is, and if you guys know where it is, comment down below so people see it. Could be Reddit, I don't know where it is now. It's definitely not Thunder's, but Thunder's used to be the big place. And there were some very famous members there. For example, one that most people know is Bib, B-I-B. Another one, I'm forgetting the guy who never left his house, but claimed to have gained 5 inches in length or something like that. There was Big Girtha, who used to post a lot for a couple of years. Anyway, there were a bunch of well-known members who introduced a lot of ideas and claimed that they had major gains. And what I wanted to tell you guys is there were two kinds of people there. There were con men who were making money, and there were people with psychological problems who wanted to develop respect in a virtual online community by lying about their progress. These people are the same people that used to be on the bodybuilding forums that used to say that they're 250 pounds or whatever, like, you know, I can remember names, but I don't want to mention them. But there were people like that who probably were skinny kids in their rooms that were lying about what they were actually accomplishing, right? And never posting pictures. So those guys never posted pictures, by the way, of themselves. So there was on Thunder's Place. I know it's weird as a guy, you know, if you're a heterosexual guy, you don't really want to see other people's penises. But people used to post pictures to show how to do certain things and stuff like that, or to show evidence of major change. And of course, Bib, who was the biggest gainer of all, never did that, even though he made a company selling hangers. I'll talk about hangers in a second. And even though he made the company to sell it, and in fact he said he hired his son to help him build them, and this was like their full-time thing, he would still not show even an after picture evidencing the fact that he had reached 11 inches or so. Now, because of some articles in the medical literature showing major size increases because of priapisms, which we discussed in a previous video, some people thought that this could actually happen. Basically, I'm sure this video is going to be very long-winded. You guys are going to have questions, and I should probably make follow-up videos. But let me try to stay on topic here. What I want to tell you about is, first, there's two kinds of cons. There are people trying to make money, and there are people trying to make a reputation because they are sick people that don't have many friends, don't have a social circle, so on. The second thing I want to tell you about is what is really possible. What can you do with PE exactly? Number one, you can change your flaccid size. So some people are called growers and some people are called showers. So a grower usually is somebody that has less connective tissue in their penile tissue, but more vascular tissue. So somebody like that will have a bigger difference in the size between their flaccid penis and their erect penis. Those people can experience much larger flaccid sizes if they do certain things. Specifically, what has the biggest impact on this is what's called an all-day stretcher, or an ADS. If you ever do purchase one because of this purpose, and that should be the only reason you purchase it, unless you, there could be one other reason, I'll tell you why in a second. You should probably try to find one with a vacuum seal that seals on the glands at the end, and that stretches you downward.
Okay, so something that I totally agree with, and again, that is something that you are gonna hear from experienced people like me and Leo, people that actually experienced a ton of different stretchers, and that's what they're all gonna recommend. And again, we're talking about people that have basically no financial interest in that, people that really wanna share proper advice. You shouldn't be getting advice from people that are trying to sell you something, because they'll sell you whatever crap there is. And so a lot of you guys many times asking in the comments about Quick Extender Pro and many other crappy penis extenders. Guys, there's nothing worse than buying a penis extender that basically has silicone tubes to hold the penis in place, or has a silicone belt that holds the penis in place. They're extremely uncomfortable, they're extremely dangerous. They're basically useless. They are the most primitive way of stretching. You should definitely avoid them. And I totally agree with what Leo says, which is exactly what I've been saying for throughout the whole channel, is get something that is vacuum based, holds on the head of your penis. For example, Master, for example, Phallosan 40, for example, the screw penis extender, for example, other knockoffs of the Phallosan that I linked to in the description of this video. But do not buy the ones that basically choke your dick, because they are gonna be unhealthy for your dick. They're gonna be super uncomfortable, and they're probably gonna cause you more harm than good. Always remember, if something is uncomfortable to wear, you're not gonna be able to wear it for hours every day. So pick the device that he's actually recommending. That's exactly what I use basically. I'm using the Master, which works with the suction cup, and I'm usually hanging it downwards, connecting it under my knee, or I'm connecting it to a bunch of weights between my legs. So I'm basically hanging in the exact same way that Leo is mentioning in this video.
Will not cause permanent length increases at the actual penis, but it may, this is the other reason to use it, other than the flaccid side, it may sort of cement the stretching that you've done to connective tissue that's at the top, I forgot the word of it, but at the top of the base of the penis, which we're going to discuss in a little bit. So that could be another reason. So the all-day stretchers, they do increase flaccid size, but this is not permanent. You stop doing it for even 6 months and it'll go back to normal. But you can get...
Okay, that's something that I also mentioned in previous videos, is do not expect, results that you get in the first 6 months to be permanent. They're not gonna be permanent. You're basically gonna lose results if you are gonna stop stretching. The results that are gonna be permanent, or at least some of them is gonna be permanent, is if you stretch properly for over a year, preferably 2 years, then you are gonna keep some of those results. But if you stretch for 6 months and then you stop, you are probably gonna lose the majority of the results. I mentioned that in previous videos as well.
Get to a point where the flaccid is so long that you have problems, sitting down to pee and so on. This has happened to all of us. So this really does work, certainly. Second thing I want to tell you about, depending on the structure of your penis, what it means is this. So if you think about it from the side, so say the base of your, say your penis is coming out from here and there's a base. There's a tendon connecting it here. Depending on how tightly your penis is actually connected, you may be able to stretch out that, it may not be a tendon, maybe a ligament, I don't know, but stretch out that connective tissue. You may be able to stretch it out more than somebody else. So if somebody already has it stretched out, they may only gain 1/4 of an inch. Most people can gain a 1/2 inch in length. But if you have one that is particularly, it's holding a lot of the bottom of your penis tighter to your body, you may be able to gain, I guess, you could gain an inch, and the only thing I know for sure is 1.75 inches, and that's because I did that. But you can certainly gain that much. I don't think you can gain more than 2 inches. I think everybody on that forum, and there used to be a thread called The Biggest Gainers Stories, something like that. I think that everybody saying more than 3 inches was lying. I do think so. So I just want you to understand that. Now that length gain will be semi-permanent, depending on how long you do it, how long you stretch that out, and then how long you keep it stretched afterwards. So probably if you don't do anything for 10 years, you'll maintain about half of the development, whatever you extended. But you're not growing the length of your penis. You're just extending that connective tissue. This will, by the way, also cause your penis not to point upwards, but instead point a little bit lower. You know, it's not because of the blood flow or something like that. It's because the connective tissue is actually looser and not holding it as tightly. So that's the second thing you can.
So that's something very interesting. I do agree with the numbers that he mentioned in terms of what you can actually gain. I don't think you can gain more than 3 inches. I do agree with that. I think most people are probably going to gain between half an inch to 1 inch. I personally gained 1 inch in the first few months. And according to his explanation, it's basically the ligament or the connective tissue between the base of the penis and the penis itself that is getting stretched. Now, there's really no way to verify this. And to be quite honest, I don't really care how I gain the gains. What I care about is actually having those gains. So at least there's somebody that is reputable, that is testifying and has gotten results more impressive than my results, and is sharing his progress here on YouTube.
The third thing that you can actually do is called gel kink. And what gel kink can produce, now gel kink can do good things for you. But what I'm talking about here is actually something called fibrosis in the penis. You can develop fibrosis, for example, mostly in the corpus cavernosum, which is the top part of it. And this often happens to gelkers, where at the end of their penis it'll get a bit wider. And that's a little bit fibrosis, the deposition of scar tissue in the penis. This is not something you really want. In fact, it's something you should try to avoid, which is why I don't ever recommend gel kink for any of my clients. Most of my clients happen to be interested in this subject for some reason. So, the third thing I wanted to mention, so you can gain fibrosis, and then you can gain actual, what they call girth, which is the circumference in your penis.
Okay, so again, it's funny that it's the first time that I actually watched Leo and his videos, and for some reason he basically repeats exactly what I said in the past. I didn't recommend gel kink in the past. I saw it as something that can be easily dangerous for you if you don't know what to do. And according to him, it can create some scar tissues and discoloration in the penis. So I would kind of stay away from it, and I would just focus on proper hanging. And he's going to talk in a bit also about pumping and the benefits of it.
Now, how can you gain actual girth? Basically, there are 2 mechanisms. One is by, or there are 3 mechanisms. One is by making the connective tissue, including the actual penis, more plastic, so that it stretches in the short term. Now, this lasts for the short term. The second is by angiogenesis. That means the creation of new blood vessels in the area, either due to hypoxia or something like that. And by the way, even with the veins, you can also have this plasticity and elasticity also. So the veins can also become more stretchy, and the penis's connective tissue, like the corpus cavernosum, can become more stretchy. This is a short-term effect. The third thing is a very, I mean, not a short-term, these are sort of medium-term effects. The third thing is a very short-term effect, which, yeah, I should mention here, which is edema. You can also produce edema, sort of edema, like a lymphatic fluid stuck in your penis, which is very short-term. It lasts like 2 days. It's a party trick. A lot of porn stars do this. People want to impress a girl do this, and so on. So those are the things that you can do. And one last thing, you can also change the angle that your penis points at with the use of weights, which you can use while erect. Now, this is getting into details that most people don't know about. This was, as you can tell, I really studied this issue in extensive detail. There are other things also you can do, by the way. You can increase your semen load volume, so the amount of semen you produce, with a simple supplement stack, which I should make a video on, which I didn't come up with. By the way, I didn't come up with anything here. I tried a lot of things, but I didn't come up with anything. So that's one thing you can do. The second thing you can do is also you can multiple orgasm as a man without losing your erections. So this is a great subject. You know, I reached a point when I was in my early 20s where I was able to do this almost 10 times in a row over periods of, hours. And so this really impresses women. It's a great party trick. You can train yourself to do it and so on. So those are the things you can sort of do to enhance your sexual performance, other than the 2 videos I made already, which are about sexual drive and erectile quality. So I'm not going to talk about all of these methods here. This is sort of an outline about PE. So the next subject we're going to talk about is what doesn't work. One thing that doesn't work that's very well known is called clamping. Clamping was popularized a lot by Big Girth on Thunder's place, but also by a lot of other people. We were using cable clamps to clamp the bottom of the penis while erect in order, number one, to stretch the vascular structure as well as the connective tissue in the penis, but more importantly, to cause hypoxia. So some of us were doing this for like 20 minutes straight to see if the hypoxia could increase growth factors in the penis and whether this would cause effects. Turned out that clamping did not have great effects. The worst element of it was that it caused major discoloration of the penis. This can come also from pumping, but basically capillaries at the skin level of the penis burst, and discoloration will develop as the blood hardens in the skin or something like that. So a lot of former PE people have discolored penises. Some of them like it because just like bodybuilders go on stage, they put on dark tans. It makes you more visible. Some people don't like it. You know, I wasn't a very big fan of it. And clamping doesn't work anyway. So I just recommend you guys avoid clamping.
Okay, so that's something that I'm actually looking into right now. I just started clamping myself. I haven't watched the video. I didn't know that it doesn't work, at least according to Leo, it doesn't work. And I also didn't know that it can cause or might cause discoloration of the penis, which is something that I probably don't want as well. So I should probably be really careful with the clamping and maybe just use pumping instead. But quite an interesting insight here. I should be a bit more careful with the clamping, at least with how much time I'm applying it to my dick.
And number 2, the permanent girth growth that's not fibrosis is not real. Okay, there's no kind of girth that can be gained that you don't do anything for 3 years and stays with you, unless it's fibrosis. And if it's fibrosis, it will eventually, if it's big enough to matter, like if it increases it by any significant amount, then it'll be enough, like over 1/4 of an inch, say. It'll be enough to start damaging the function of your penis. So that's something, again, that you don't want. Finally, what's also not possible is more than 2 inches, as I said, of length gains. Basically, it is not possible to cause more than just that connective tissue stretching. You can cause the penis itself to stretch for a short period of time, and it can be elastic, and it could be like that for a short period of time, but if you stop for a year, it'll go back, the penis itself will go back to what it was, but the attached connective tissue may stay extended about half as much over a period of a number of years.
Okay, it's something that it's pretty funny because like now I actually understand my progress and I can explain it better. So what is Leo saying is that the growth of the penis doesn't happen by stretching the penis itself, but by stretching the connective tissue. And that's something that I basically faced, because what happened is I started stretching, and if you guys go back to the first few videos, you realize that I gained like huge progress pretty quickly, like around 1 inch in the first couple of months. And obviously I couldn't really guess like where is the gain coming from? Is it like the penis stretching itself, or is it the ligament? And what happened is I basically plateaued. So I wasn't gaining more, and a lot of people were sort of pissed off on me or said that maybe I was lying about my progress because I wasn't making more gains. Now, obviously I can back up my progress and I can prove it by the before and after photos. I'm not one of those guys that just says something without actual proof. The proof is found on my OnlyFans page. You can clearly see the before and after photos measured. I even have videos of the before and after, so you are 100% sure that it's not like some Photoshop or whatever. But the thing is that I actually plateaued, like my gains plateaued, and I didn't know why. And probably that's why, because the penis itself was not stretching. What was stretching is the ligament. So quite an interesting explanation. I honestly have no idea how much more I can stretch and how much more I can gain. Don't get me wrong, I'm more than happy with 1 inch. Especially, it's not just 1 inch, it's also harder erections and thicker erections in my case from stretching. So I'm kind of happy with that. But at least at this point, I kind of know what to expect. I do agree with Leo. Anybody who says he gained more than 3 inches is probably lying, because, you know, the ligament probably doesn't stretch that much. Also, you know, what's possible is around 30% of your size. So 30%, that means you're, like, if you said that you gained 3 inches, that means you're basically 9 inches or 10 inches. Which, you know, most people are not, and if you are 9 or 10 inches, you're probably not gonna stretch. I could believe somebody who's 10 inches gained 3 over, you know, maybe 2 years. Haven't seen anybody yet, but more than that, definitely not possible. People that have 10 inches will probably never even try penis enlargement.
Again, just to repeat, the concerns are discoloration and fibrosis. Other than this, you shouldn't have too many concerns with PE. Now, I want to mention briefly the story of Bathmate, which is something that personally offended me and many other people on Thunder's Place when we were there. I remember the day that someone posted a thread about water pumping. I was there, I was on the, you know, probably one of the first few posters on the thread, and probably you guys can find that thread. What happened was, so there was this device called a pump, a penis pump, that was used from the, you know, at least the 70s. What people used to do was get their penis erect, put it in this cylinder, and then create a vacuum with a machine that removes air from the cylinder. The problem with this, so number one, the effects of this, again, you're stretching the penis, but instead of clamping, you're not doing it through, I mean, it's causing hypoxia too, because blood is getting stuck there, but you're doing it from the outside rather than the inside out, number one. So it does this kind of stretching thing. It may stretch out the blood vessels, it may cause angiogenesis, the birth of new blood vessels in the area. It may make the actual penis more, in the short term, a bit longer or a bit wider or so on. And finally, it adds edema or lymphatic fluid, especially if the person is not erect while in it or continues to do it afterwards. So that's what we knew about pumping. And because of that reason, and all of us on Thunder's Place thought that pumping had the least permanent gains. So a lot of us were hanging for hours and hours and hours a day because of Bib. He said he used to hang for 11 hours, so everybody was doing that. You know, some of us used to, you know, clamp for like 10 sets a day or something like that. I mean, we tried everything. And we thought pumping was not very permanent. But another thing that was annoying about pumping was that, or what's now called air pumping, is that it often caused blisters in people until they got used to it. So people just veered away from it. And you could cause too much of a vacuum with that machine. One day, somebody, not myself, somebody who deserves the credit that Bathmate got and the money that they got, came up with this idea. I'm not going to get into too much detail because the video will be too long, but basically he filled and by the way, the brand to use is not Bathmate, it's LA Pump. That's what everybody has been using for many years. You don't need to buy that company that stole the idea from these guys. But basically a normal pump, you just have a pump, you just don't need the machine. You have a pump, you have a connective, like a tube at the end of it. Basically this guy filled up the pump with water and then connected it to the base of his penis while it was erect, put it inside, and then used the tube to suck out the air and then just detach the tube. For anyone who's ever pumped before, you'll know exactly what that means when you think about it. For those of you who haven't, you go online, search Thunder's Place water pumping, and you'll find the threads. They'll explain to you how to do it, just like it explained to me how to do it over, you know.
Okay, so guys, you probably wouldn't believe it, but I swear to God, I never watched this video before, never heard of this method before. What happened is this exact pump, this LA pump he's talking about, is the exact same pump I have right here. Hold on a second. Okay, so this is the exact same pump. It's not the LA pump. The LA pump is just, they're basically rebranding this generic pump. They just literally like stuck a name on it. It's the exact same pump. I went on their website and I saw it. They just printed the LA on it, that's all. So this is the pump. And this is what I've been using. And if you guys remember, I made a video saying the best pump I ever tried. And the reason why I said that is, first of all, because you can choose the cylinder to your exact thickness, and you can also kind of measure your progress here with inches and with centimeters. But the cool thing about this pump, besides the fact that it's really well built and it's affordable, it's much better built than the Bathmate itself, but it also works with water. So the method Leo is mentioning here is that he's saying you should basically disconnect this tube and use your mouth to suck the air out of it, or perhaps just like suck the air out of it and keep some water inside. But what I tried and what works, and by the way, you can see that on my OnlyFans because I posted a photo of it long time ago, is I thought to myself, you know what, let's just try filling it with water and see if it works. And I tried that because I took it with me to the bathroom to actually wash it after just air pumping. And so I filled it with water and I pumped, and the water is basically getting pumped out just like the bathmate, if not better. It's literally like getting pumped out through here, so in the exact same mechanism. It works just as well. So it works as a water pump, but the better thing is that it's the thickness of your dick, so it's not like huge like the bathmate, and it's not creating unnecessary vacuum. The valve on this one is way better than the one on the bathmate, because that one is basically crappy. As I told you guys, I already bought like 3 versions of it, and they all pretty much suck. So I'm holding the exact same opinion as Leo about the bathmate company. Crappy device, crappy pump, definitely overpriced. There are much better alternatives like this one that I'm going to be linking to in the description, and it's gonna be cheaper than the LA pump, because all the LA pump went is they took the exact same pump and they rebranded it and they are selling it for much more expensive. So I'm gonna leave a link for this one at an affordable price in the description of this video, because it works with air and with water. And honestly, this pump is probably gonna last you forever. Like the build quality on this one, I don't think it's ever gonna be destroyed, not anytime soon. So anyways, I'm really surprised that Leo mentioned that. And when he was talking about it, I didn't really realize which pump he was talking about. I had to actually go on the website and see to myself. And you can see and you can check that it's the exact same pump that I'm talking about.
I don't know, 50, so many years ago now. But the important thing is that water pumping turned out not to cause blistering, not to cause as strong vacuums, and to be much safer. And what I discovered after my years of experience with this is that water pumping is actually probably one of the healthiest ways to improve penile quality, erectile quality, to maintain gains in the long term, and so on, with the least amount of damage. Now again, about bathmate, basically what they did was, one of the guys on this thread, I don't know who it was, went and made a really branded, made a pump specifically about water stuff, stole it from the original guy on the thread, and popularized it. And people made millions and potentially hundreds of millions of dollars from that product, which was stolen from our page. I remember bathmate coming out about 6 months later and us being very upset on Thunder's Place that somebody went and did that without asking everyone else. At the very least, they could have given some credit to the original inventor of the idea. Anyway, the important thing is this. Bathmate is a, BS company, but the point is this.
I love it when he says Bathmate is a BS company. I totally agree with him. It's 100% marketing. It's completely overpriced. The quality is garbage. And the reason why it's popularized all over YouTube is because they pay fat commissions over, sales and affiliate sales. So all the guys you're gonna see on YouTube, talking positively about the bathmate, they have financial incentive, and you are gonna see their affiliate link, and they're making a full-time living off of that. So you really gotta understand, I'm not saying that the bathmate doesn't work. I'm just saying there are better alternative, higher quality, and I'm saying it's overpriced. And Leo has personal beef with them, saying they're a BS company. I don't like them either, and I think there are much better alternatives than the bathmate, as I mentioned, this pump as well.
Finally, let me tell you, what is the most efficient way? If you're starting out, like you don't want to increase your semen volume load, you don't want a multiple orgasm, you don't want to last all night, you don't want, whatever, to change the angle of your penis. All you want to do is get the most gains that you can get with the least amount of effort. What is the best program? This is what it is, okay? The first thing is, and if you want to do it, you should do it sequentially, probably. What you could do, okay, the maximum you can do, I'll give you a maximum one and like a minimum one. The maximum one you could do is this. You could begin hanging. You could use Bib's hanger, although he is most likely a con man and a liar. It works very well. I don't know if he still produces it. You use Bib's hanger, there's probably another hanger. You have to be careful that the hanger doesn't cause a blood vessel, doesn't prevent the end of your penis from being able to receive blood. And basically use a hanger and you sit in a way in which you're pointing your legs a bit upward. What Bib used to do is do this on his table. So he'd put his legs on his table so that basically in between your legs, your penis goes as opposite the direction of that connective tissue as possible. It goes the exact opposite direction. In fact, the way Bib used to describe it, which shows that he really did do some of this stuff, it's just that the amount of gains were exaggerated. The way he used to describe it is basically putting it almost between his butt cheeks. So his pelvis was almost facing up and his penis almost opposite direction. That's the best angle. If you hang light weights, just weights high enough, not 50, 60 pounds like many of us started doing, or 100, whatever. No, just like you'll get up to a weight that's, you don't want to make the ligament stronger. You just want enough of a weight that causes an ache in exactly that ligament, which you'll feel. And once you get that ache going, you just keep that ache going with this hanging. Now, the more time, unfortunately, the more time you spend on it per day to a degree, the quicker it'll happen. So you can actually have it fully stretched out probably in 2 months. Once you have it fully stretched out, you can maintain that if you want to, with like a once a week, twice a week hanging thing. Or you could use an all-day stretcher to keep it stretched with like a vacuum seal, and that'll keep that ligament stretched until it plastically molds itself like that.
Wow.
Once you've done that, even if you stop for 10 years, I can tell you it'll never go back to normal fully. You'll have kept a lot of that length gain.
That's really interesting. So I'm pretty much doing that, but I'm doing that using the Pennymaster, obviously, which is a hanger that he's recommending. Again, he keeps mentioning that don't use a hanger that chokes your dick, and I reviewed some of those shitty hangers here on this channel. So do not use that. Use something like the Pennymaster, Felicent 40, Screw Penis Extender, whatever. I'm gonna link them in the description. But something that he mentioned that, and I never heard about before, is that you should basically get the stretch almost kind of behind your back, like get your dick behind your back and stretch it to that direction. Never tried it in the past. According to him, that's gonna make your progress much faster. So far, I'm basically hanging using the belt. So belt attached to under my knee, or I'm using a bunch of weights. So now I'm currently using maybe like 8 pounds or something like this, which is pretty much the maximum that I can hang without starting to feel like pain on my dick and not in the right places, like basically where it hangs. So I think more weight is probably dangerous. Actually, you shouldn't probably get to 8 pounds. I'm just doing what I can. The maximum is around like 2.5 pounds that you can stretch safely. But I'm doing it because I basically plateaued. I got used to the kind of light weight. So I'm hanging around 8 pounds.
Other than that, and why I say sequentially, you can also pump. Why I say sequentially is because even though pumping is a little bit different and it has a suction at the base of the penis, it still stretches out even that ligament a little bit, especially if you've already stretched it out. So it would be best to do it right after you begin hanging. So, or you're done hanging, I mean. So basically, if you really want length gains. If you just want girth gains, there's no reason to hang. And also if you just want erectile quality gains, which are huge, by the way, very serious with pumping, then you certainly don't need to hang at all. So in terms of pumping, you should, if you're gonna do it, go to LA Pump. Don't donate to this company, Bathmate, because I really don't like what they did. Go to the original pump company that everybody uses from California, LA Pump.
Okay, so the original pump company that he's mentioning, I mean, maybe he doesn't know better, but they're really like, not the original. They basically just slammed their logo on this generic pump that I'm using myself. I know because I found it somewhere else and it doesn't have any company on it and it's the exact same one. But what he's saying is by pumping, you can dramatically improve the erection strength. And something really interesting is that first he's saying you should basically hang, sort of heavy, but not too heavy in the exact same method he mentioned here. And then after that, once you reach the desired length gain, you should use an all-day stretcher to kind of keep the gains. Really interesting way of approaching it. Never heard about it in the past, but everything makes sense. I kind of agree with 95% of what he's mentioning in this video.
Pump, you can get a pump, you can get just the pump and the tube. You don't need the machine. Unfortunately, I had a client recently bought the machine accidentally. The machine cost the most part. You don't need that for water pumping. You go to thundersplace.com, you read about how to pump and learn something. You start with the shortest time period you can. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you slowly increase it. You do it twice a week in the beginning, then 3 times a week. More than 4 times a week is never good. Having days in between is always good, no matter what.
Okay.
Doing it for more than 20 minutes is inefficient and ineffective. For sure, we've tried it. We've tried 6 hours, we've tried 7 hours, we've tried everything. 20 minutes, you build up to it and you water pump for 6 months or 7 months, probably, you'll reach your maximum medium-term gains. What I mean by medium term, if you stop pumping, all of it will go away after about a year. But there will be short-term gains that are acute. Those are mostly lymphatic fluid and some short-term elastic gains. Then there will be medium-term stretching and angiogenesis, vascular structure. It'll be much easier for you to get erect quickly. You'll have more sensation in your penis. It'll improve sex so much for you.
Wow.
That stuff will be medium-term. After doing it 4 days a week until you got the results, you can't get any more results for a while, say after a year or so, you could go back to twice a week and probably maintain it for the rest of your life, and probably should. Because when you don't use something, you lose it. And a lot of men in their 40s and 50s have less sex, maybe because they're married or whatever, and end up actually losing the ability to use their penile tissue. And I can get into this in another video, but penile tissue, you can't have apoptosis of cells in the penis because it's not being used. So in the body in general, what you don't use, you lose. So even just using the maximum capacity of your penis, so if your erections are always 75%, you're not getting 100%, your penis will actually permanently shrink eventually. So one way to avoid this is by doing pumping twice a week.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting. Is he's saying, first of all, to pump, you should only pump every second day. Makes a lot of sense because you need time for recovery and time for resting. I don't know about hanging. He didn't mention if you should hang daily. I personally kind of try to hang daily. I don't know if that's good or bad, or maybe I can optimize by just hanging every second day. But pretty interesting what he said about pumping, that it will actually increase the sensitivity. I'm not really, pumping that often as he's mentioning in this video. I'll probably like do it once a week or something. So really interesting video. I'm gonna start kind of applying this methodology that he mentioned in his video, and probably gonna report back about my progress, and not only report, but also post it on my OnlyFans. And I'm gonna let you guys know exactly, what went well, what didn't. But very interesting video from Leo. I didn't know that there are people that are, that interested in penis enlargement and are here on YouTube and talking about it openly. Really nice to see that. Quite a big fan of Leo. Love the video. I agree with pretty much everything that is mentioned here in this video, and I'm gonna be applying it on my PE routine and kind of reporting back. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I apologize, it's a long one, but it was packed with information. I was honestly very interested in everything Leo had to say here. If you guys like this video, make sure to like it and let me know in the comment section below, do you agree with the points that Leo mentioned in this video? I'd really love to hear from you guys, and make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. Anyway, everything that I'm using and everything Leo has mentioned, I'm gonna link to it in the description of this video below, so make sure to check it out. And anyways, I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye-bye.